Welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited about today's guests, Gabriella and Scheri from Put Color Back in Cannabis. Put Color Back in Cannabis is an organization that works to bring awareness to BIPOC community within the cannabis industry. Thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, pleasure.
I'm super excited. Just to get it started off, you guys are obviously boss babes and I'm obsessed with you both. So I, as well as the audience, would probably like to learn more about you guys as well as the inspiration behind Put Color Back in Cannabis.
Awesome. Well, I'm Scheri and I'm the CEO and founder of Put Color Back in Cannabis. The whole brand is actually designed to highlight minorities within the cannabis industry. So making sure that we put more of a spotlight on the benefits, and I should say also the struggles that we face too, like where we came from, where we are now, and then also where we want to go in this industry. It's important to be, remembering and completely be mindful that this industry was built on the backs of minorities. And as we continue to evolve, it's kind of getting hidden, so I think that it's important that we all come together while it's still in the very, brink of it, and bringing focus to it. So I started that first with merchandise, or excuse me, I should say with apparel, and just kind of putting the mission on different merch and kind of spreading it that way. And then I realized, we're putting awareness out there, but how do we actually make it more of a movement? So we're trying to figure out, and as we continue to evolve as well too, because it's only been a year, thankfully we've done a lot in a year, but
no, for sure. It's crazy.
Yeah, a year will be in March. So it's not even a year yet. Yeah, but we've done like a lot. So, it's like, how do we take, now that we got the attention out there, and now that we got people paying, more aware and wanting to do more, how do we make more with it? How do we make solutions? How do we take action with it? So it's evolved a lot, and with the support of so many people in the community.
I got roped into this. I'm just kidding. I did not get roped into this. Scheri had asked me to do a photo shoot for the tote bag, and I had read about her community, that she was building, and I really liked what she was trying to convey to people and get people to realize, because we are women of color. We've all dealt with the struggles. So trying to get other people to listen to us, and not only listen, but understand and really try and put themselves in our shoes. The fact that Scheri was doing that is something that I just knew that I needed to be a part of. So in any way, if it was just being a model for the tote bags, I was down. But when she asked me to join the team, I was super excited, because education is something that's always been important to me, whether it's learning about the plant and cannabis, or just constantly educating yourself and knowing that there's always more to learn, plus the passion behind, addressing and highlighting racial injustices that we face, not only in general, but specifically in the cannabis community, was major. So it's like a dream come true.
Yeah, no, you guys have an amazing brand. Ever since I saw you in the photos, I was like, wait, where did this come from? And then ever since then, it was full blast forward. I was like, oh my gosh. Because we all know, we're all entrepreneurs, how much work that takes to go to market. And so I applaud you guys both, because I know that that's a ton of work. I guess a question I had was, where was the original idea for apparel to start off the brand with?
So that actually, we're going to go deep into it. So we actually both Gabby and I used to still work in the cannabis industry outside of Put Color Back in Cannabis. We're both account managers now, but we started off and we met each other as BAs. And you get a little bit more of as a BA, as a brand ambassador, you get more of a connection with consumers and bud tenders, people in all aspects of the community, versus people behind the door. I should say behind the office door. And I was doing a demo in the Central Valley area. And as we know, if you are from the Central Valley in California, you do know that it happens to be a little bit, unfortunately, dare I say, whitewashed, and kind of more set in their ways. And I unfortunately encountered a very bold consumer who was really kind of shocked based off my education, and was not shy of expressing it based off how he was basically shocked that I was as educated about the plant as I was for being the skin color that I was. And he was very bold about it. We'll call a spade, you know,
exactly.
It is what it is. And it just took me by shock, and I'm from Minnesota. I've only been in California coming up now 3 years. And to when I was in that moment, I'd only been in the industry for a year and a half. I was really grateful for my opportunity. I didn't want to blow it. And I felt stuck. I felt like the most stuck that I've ever felt in my life, because I had two options. I had one, to go the direction that I wanted to internally, which was like, go off on this dude, because how dare he, even like without even knowing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I had the other option, which was care about my job, let this guy go because he was just going to come and purchase cannabis and do what he needed to do. And then he was going to go on his way. And I most likely was never going to see him again. And I went with option B, obviously. Still got my job. Life is good. But it still made me feel sick about it. You don't feel comfortable when you have to choose always the mature way. And like, it's not like, that's what people have to understand as a person of color. When you're getting insulted and you choose to go that positive way or go the mature way, and everybody's like, oh, well, you did the right thing by walking away. I know I did the right thing. That doesn't make me feel better internally, because I really wish I could have expressed myself just like this person felt comfortable enough to express themselves, you know? And so it was just eating me up alive. Like, why am I being treated this way? Why is somebody not even giving me the benefit of the doubt, you know? And then I was like, wow, I've only been in the industry for a year and a half now. I can't even imagine what people who have been here, who have been growing up with all of this, are really feeling right now. And I was like, who's speaking up for us? Well, I know there's a lot of organizations speaking up for us, but like, how do I get that message that they're speaking out? Why is it that many don't know about it? You know, why isn't it that many, we don't have billboards. A lot of these organizations can't have billboards that are saying equality is important for cannabis. You know, they don't have, you know, buses with it. They don't have flyers with it. And this isn't on the organizations, obviously. It's just, there wasn't a way to get that message out there. And I thought to myself, what is something that people do with, you know, all the time? They wear clothing. You know, people will wear a cookies shirt and they will have 6 different versions of cookies just because it says cookies. And it's the same shirt, just 6 different ways, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, if somebody will do it that way to spread the message of cookies, why wouldn't they do it to spread the message of equality? And that's where it came out of.
And it definitely goes into almost a little bit of free advertising too, because it's just worn on people's bodies. Obviously, people that encompass the mission and values as well, which is a super easy way to get out, since it's not always the easiest to market in this industry, as we all know.
It's designed to be a conversation starter. That's the whole thing. Like, I want people to look at that and either be like, that's super cool, where'd you get that? And then start about it, or be like, well, that's super cool, what is it about? Or question. Like, regardless, someone's going to start talking about it when you see the merchandise out on somebody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What were you guys doing before you got into the cannabis industry? I'm just super curious by that. Everyone, I feel like, has a different kind of story as to what they were doing. Some people are like, oh, I was a cop. It's like, what?
What? No.
Those are my favorite people. I'm like, you can't go back from this, right? Like,
yeah, no.
Right.
That's funny. Well, for me, before I was in the cannabis industry, I was actually in the service industry. So I was a bartender, and personally, I don't like drinking alcohol. I don't. It doesn't taste good to me. It doesn't make me feel good. I was constantly serving people that were just drunk. And when you see so many drunk people just acting silly and dumb, it kind of sways you a little bit into just not wanting to be a part of it. Specifically, just like the alcohol culture that service industry people go through, just because of the hours and the rushes that you go through and the people that you deal with. So I understand it, but I was from Woodland, California. It's a huge ag town. So many growers would come in. They would talk to me personally about growing and the products they had. They would tip me in, you know, like nugs or like a vape cartridge that they did. And I could never engage with someone about alcohol like that, while my coworkers could. And it's cool. They would be like, give me a drink. And they would come up with this crazy ass cocktail and it would be super yummy, but I just didn't have the passion for that. And when I started meeting these people and talking about cannabis, it was like a light just like switched off, and like I could just go and go and go. And then I kind of just started realizing the reasons that I was already consuming cannabis were not just for like to feel good. You start thinking about like, why am I really smoking? Why am I really taking edibles? And then you kind of just start to see the medicinal value of it. And I felt like more people needed to understand that just because it makes you feel good doesn't mean you're not using it for medicinal value. And so that's kind of like bringing back to what I said about education. I've always been an advocate for destigmatizing cannabis. And so this was like the perfect dream, the perfect area for me. So I've been loving it ever since.
Yeah, I feel that service industry. I feel like when I was doing demos, people like, people can be rude, as your story
Yep.
goes. And I feel like working in the service industry, it just like toughens you up. You're like, I'm used to this
Tough skin.
abuse. I got it. I got this.
Yeah, seriously. That was never ever a problem because I was like, you know what? At least you didn't yell at me for not bringing your ranch.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
okay.
Oh my gosh. Walking circles for ranch.
Flashbacks.
Oh my God.
It's triggering.
It is. It really is.
It really is.
Wow, I wish I had stories like that. No, mine is, like I said, I came from Minnesota. I worked in all different areas of like different industries other than hospitality, believe it or not. But the last job that I really had, or that I was really, one of them I was really popular at, I was great as being like a receptionist or different assistants in all different fields. I worked in a candle factory. I worked at a wine and spirits distributor. I worked at a nightclub. I worked at all different places. So, and this was at all multiple times, mind you, like simultaneously. I think at one time I had like, yeah, there was one time where I had, I worked as a receptionist. I worked at a nightclub at night. And then like on every other day, I worked as like a floor person, like a floor assistant at a adult store.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, I worked like I worked more than I slept. But yeah, my story, like for wanting to be in cannabis, was I ended up getting hit by a car in my senior year at the same time that I had all 3 jobs, mind you. This isn't it was senior year. I had all 3 jobs. I was walking to one of them actually, and I got hit in the crosswalk, and it put me in a wheelchair. And I kind of had this instant where I was getting slightly addicted to my pain medication. And I noticed it. Like I can pay attention to things when I've, maybe it's because I watch a lot of Netflix and I just like pick up on the signs. We don't know. But I was like, something's not right. And I talked to one of my friends, and she kind of just introduced me to cannabis that way. And I really cared about how it was helping me, it was helping my knee that way. In the same year, I also got diagnosed with a medical issue, a bacteria in my stomach called H. pylori, which was having issues with me like digesting food properly. And consuming cannabis actually regulated it better than the medication that they were prescribing me. The medication they prescribed me, I remember them telling me this: you are going to be in more pain as we fix you than you are right now. And that just didn't sit right with me. Like I actually tried it, and it was so unbearable that I couldn't go to school and all that. And it didn't make sense to me why I put myself in more pain to possibly heal me and not even guarantee that it was going to do any benefit. So as I was taking cannabis, it was healing me more. And I realized that I wanted to introduce this to other people, and there was a time in Minnesota that, thankfully it's advancing now, but 4 years ago, when I decided to leave, they were actually planning on trying to get where they are now. And it got stopped by, I haven't even kept up with it if we have the same governor, if it's the same governor or not, but the past governor, he kind of put a kibosh on it. And that's why I left. I was like, I need to go somewhere where I can not just expand my knowledge of the plant, but also share my story with people so that other people feel free to try it out. And then, yeah, I came up to California, lived off my savings for 2 months, and the rest is history.
That opioid addiction it's a real one. I kind of went through the same thing. I had some health problems a few years back, and no one could really tell me what was wrong, but they just kept prescribing me on medications. Like I had probably like 20 of these orange bottles, and everything was for something different, or 3 for the same thing, 3 for anxiety, 3 for sleep, da da da. And then I realized that I was just super dependent on, I got really hooked on the sleeping pills, not so much the pain meds. But when I went to the pharmacy and I was trying to get a refill, and they're like, oh no, like your limits, like you can't get one yet. And I was so pissed. Like I was so mad. And I was like, God, I'm so reliant on these. And at night I'd lay there, I'm like, I can't sleep. Like, cause you're just thinking about it. It's almost just, and I knew it was just a placebo of having something and knowing what it was, not that I actually needed it. And then, so once I joined the cannabis industry, I forget who was with Plus at the time. I think it might've been Anna, but she gave me some of the Plus pills, and I was like, oh, like I'll try these out. And then that completely replaced the pills, which the next mornings I woke up feeling so much better. Like I was sleeping better. It was just crazy, the difference. And it's just unfortunate that we live in kind of a world where pharmaceuticals are just they're so cheap that they're more attainable for people. It's easier to get them versus, cannabis, which is like 30, but like it's expensive. Like let's call what it is. It's expensive.
But why like that? Because it's like, in my opinion, pharmaceuticals are a gateway drug more than cannabis is.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
It takes, and don't get me wrong, like I didn't start smoking cannabis until I was 18. I know there are people that start when they're 16. I know there's people that start when they're 14. Okay.
Mhm.
But when you get injured, okay, when an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old falls down and breaks their arm, do they get a joint or do they get a pill, a bottle of pills? You like, it's like, that's what's really starting the, you know, the enticing of a numbing feeling, you know, and they want to blame it on cannabis when it's really the opposite way. So yeah, you're 100% right. They're giving availability for 100% cheaper than it should be. When if they would make cannabis $10, you know, and actually good cannabis $10, I feel like great addiction.
Yeah, I could talk about the issue of access all day because it's a frustrating one because I'm like, no wonder people get pharmaceuticals. It's so much cheaper and insurance covers it. Like, I mean, you know, and it's just annoying. But all that aside, I know you guys have been working super hard with Book Color Back in Cannabis. On a lighter note, what is new on the horizon in 2021? Anything exciting we should be looking out for?
Yes, so many things. Honestly, the projects just keep bumping, and I'm like, we were trying to do a lot of things. So we are going to start doing, but I don't even say it's like going to be weekly, but definitely like bi-weekly for sure. Doing Women of Weed on those Wednesdays, kind of making sure we're highlighting minority women in the industry doing their thing in all different aspects. So culinary, you know, cultivating, distribution, you know, whether you're, you know, a bud tender, a consultant, manager, buyer, all of it. If you are a person of color, you're doing a thing and you'd like to be highlighted, we want to hear about you and we want to share about you on the community. We're still doing those things. Those 10% taken every month for each monthly for our proceeds are going to be taken from our contributions to the community as well too. So if you have organizations, minority owned, that you would like us to spotlight too, we'd love to hear from that. We have some different merchandise coming out. We're doing some collabs with actually a delivery service here in Sacramento. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, humble root. But yeah, super cool there. Really excited. Doing a collab also with Pretty Cushion Co., who is also here, Sacramento brand as well too. Looking forward to doing some other ones with hopefully Kima. And then, you know, we got all these different options that are coming up. So yeah, different collabs, different things. We just want to highlight as many different minority brands as possible while focusing on getting equity brands more on the shelf as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess what's new on the horizon aside from that for both of you? Any like personal projects outside of it that you're working on? I think as entrepreneurs, we love overwhelming ourselves with multiple things at once. So I was curious to see if you guys are working on anything. Obviously, I'm always happy to support, you know, aside from Put Color Back in Cannabis.
Let's see. No, go ahead, Gabby.
I mean, at the moment, I feel like my life is pretty full right now.
Yeah,
you
no,
know, like there's only so much that I can do outside of work and put color back in cannabis. But right now, that's really just like, that's the focus. Besides work, it's just making other people, you know what, I scratch that. A goal of mine for 2021 is really just to expand put color back in cannabis, in the sense that I want to really create a community, like a strong community of people of color, of minorities who have each other's backs, who can go to them for questions and really just lean on them for support. Because a lot of the times, if they're like a new brand or just entering the space, they don't have access to those resources, you know, unless you're working under someone who is kind enough to really explain it to you, to walk you through everything. It can get really confusing and challenging, and when you don't have a support system, it allows things to easily fall through the cracks. Whereas building this community, you won't have that problem. You will have people that you can go to and share things with, and have a safe space to really just share what you're feeling and what you've gone through. And you don't have to validate your feelings. You know, you're not going to have to explain yourself. It's just about like being around people that know the struggle that you're going through and understand it and don't judge you for it. So that's my main goal for 2021.
I love that. That's awesome. It's always easier to have these talks with people about, you know, having groups of people to go to talk to that are maybe working through the same things as you are, because it's so hard to find information online, you know, for certain things. You can't just type it in and it pops up sometimes, especially in our space, because everything's so new and evolving. So it's always nice to have someone that's been through it to be like, oh no, this is what it means. All you have to do is this, instead of like all this like crazy legal jargon that people throw into like all these documents and you're like, what? When really it's like, oh, you just have to register online, but they say it in some crazy way.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And I think that oftentimes like discourages people from even wanting to join or try for that, because it's like, how am I going to make it if I can't even understand what this is, when other people have pay people to do that for them, you know? So really just building the community and having those resources that other people pay for is golden.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm always open to help like anyone in the cannabis community, especially women. I'm like, yeah, what, like, who do you need? Like, what do you need? Like,
exactly.
But it's always finding the right people to put them together. Cause I know a lot of people that like, sometimes I've reached out to, like, it's hit or miss, you know, what's the worst thing they're going to say is no. And they've been like, no, I'm a consultant, you're going to pay for it. I'm like,
you ask, you know, it's always a no unless you ask.
Exactly. It's the worst thing is they say no. You know, that's what I always say. I'm like, you might as well just ask.
And you're in the same.
What was that?
And you're in the same position regardless if they say no.
I think that if you've gone through the struggle and you kind of know the industry, you know what it's like to be starting out, and like, you know how hard it is. So if you can help someone kind of navigate through that process, like, you're going to, and like again, that's not everyone. Maybe that's just us. And if you select other people, but from what I found in the community, everyone's very like helpful, and they're like, my contacts are your contacts. Like, I've had a lot of help. Like, everyone always needs legal help, I feel like, is the thing. And I've leaned heavily on like Gabe Garcia, and I'm just like, hey, can you just look at this? Like, does this look legit? And he'll be like, yes or no. You know, just something so simple as that you just need a yes or no on, you know? But how can people better support Put Color Back in Cannabis, and like what your individual goals are this year, and help support the mission? Where can they find your merch, basically?
So the merch is actually available on www.putcolorbackincannabis.com. So right on the site, you can go into our shop page there, and all of the merch that is available will be listed on there. Right now, we actually got the hoodies that we just started from a new campaign created called Smoke Loud, Speak Loud. So that's is actually designed to bring awareness to how privileged we are in the industry. You know, being able to walk into dispensaries and purchase a pre-roll or purchase an eighth, all the options to be able to smoke freely within our homes, on the street, all those different things that we are able to do with cannabis, and also being aware that it took a lot to get us here, and there are still people who are suffering from criminal records as this industry continues to evolve. So it's on us to, as while we're still smoking loud, to speak loud as well, and know that we still have a lot of work to do and bring awareness to that. So I've created hoodies that are kind of just designed to start the conversation there as well too. Those are going fast, so definitely grab those while you can. Of course, we still have the staple tote bag, and then we also have the dictionary t-shirts available as well too. So if you want to do any collaborations with Put Color Back in Cannabis, you can also go to our Instagram and Put Color Back in Cannabis is the handle. And then any collabs can also be done through our website as well too. There's actually a collabs tab on the website, so you can reach out that way too.
It's Dabs with Gabs. It's that easy.
All right, you guys. So if all of this information is going to be listed in the link, go ahead and reach out to them, give them some love. I love these two, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you more. I'm sure we'll have another discussion as more things come up. And if anything new is in the works, I'd love to highlight it on here whenever that might come around, and chat with you guys again, because I really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we were just hanging out, chilling, you know? We'll let you guys go and chat with you both soon.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.